go through all our habits, go through all our steps within our goals to build a system. So what I think most people fall at when they set these goals is they never really build the habits. So they never establish a system. So that's why a lot of people give up. I am guilty of that. The setting the goal, the building the habits, the establishing a system. Set goal, build habits around that goal, being consistent in building with those habits to establish the system. All right, so just looking at that core progression to accomplishments. Setting the goal is the beginning. You know, we say we want to do something. The most common goal at the beginning of the year, what does people do? I want to work out. I want to lose weight. So, okay, so you want to lose 30 pounds. So then we have to start thinking about the habits that we have to build to work ourselves to accomplishing and losing those 30 pounds. What habits are we going to build? We're going to go to the gym how many times a week? We're going to work on what muscle groups? What time are we going to go? Those are the habits we have to establish. What are we going to eat? What are we going to cut out our diet? So all that are the habits that you start to build. Now, our consistency in those habits that we've established at that point in time will then start to create a system around losing those 30 pounds or just being more fit in general and helping us go through all our habits, go through all our steps within our goals to build a system. So what I think most people fall at when they set these goals is they never really build the habits. So they never establish a system. So that's why a lot of people give up by the time they set their New Year's resolution. I am guilty of that. Well, getting back to working out, because I used to work out on a regular basis, but life is life. So even more so myself, I would have to be very strict in the habits because I have a certain amount of time, I have a certain amount of days or weeks that I can work out. So I have to be more specific in my habits and sticking to those habits to establish a system. So I have to be more strict in those things. So let's go a little deeper into the cues and the context, which in this sense, context meaning the environment. So cues and the environment, right? Because those things matter when you're building your habits. Why does the cues and the environments matter? Right? This is the reason why people go to the gym versus staying at home and working out. Because here's what happened. If you go home and say, hey, I'm going to work out at home. Well, home is also a place where you have kids, other family members, things you have to deal with. Place where you relax, place where you binge watch Netflix. So that may not work out to being able to work out at home. So you have to change the environment. And so that's why a lot of people like to go to the gym, or they build a spot. Even if you're going to work at home, you have to build a spot in your home where it's strictly about working out and being strict to that environment. This particular location, I'm locked in. I'm just strictly worried about working out. Nothing else. There's nothing else in the environment that can cause a cue for me to deviate from my habits, deviate from my system. So if I go to the gym, there's nothing there. I'm not going to be bothered with the kids or family, or I'm not going to be bothered with wanting to binge watch Netflix and things like that, because those things are in another environment. So this environment is strictly about working out. Right, so that's your context, that's your environment. You have positive cues in that environment, because what are other people doing in that environment? They're also working out, right? So it's nothing but working out in this environment. If I want to read more, study more, or take classes online, then I have to establish a place that strictly in that environment, that's all I'm going to do. So like the study that they have in houses, like you call a study, your room where people's office may be, books, bookshelves, and things like that. So in that environment, it's just strictly education, it's strictly research, it's strictly reading a book. I'm not even bringing my phone in that environment, because my phone is a cue for getting on the phone and scrolling through social media. So that's a distraction in that environment. So I'm not gonna bring that in that environment. So in this environment, no phones, nothing but my book, nothing but my notepad, nothing but my laptop for my classes that I'm taking online, whatever that is. That environment is strictly for that. So That's what we always have to consider when building our habits. Not that you don't know, it's just that when you read it and it's put in a certain way, it starts to click. Start to add, okay, I'm going to add this to building my habits. Because setting goals has never been a problem for me. It's within those goals, building and setting those habits. And I never really thought about the environment really being a very, very important piece. But environments matters when you're setting your goals and building the habits within your goals to establish a system. It's easier to establish a system when you have the particular environment and positive cues in this environment to help you along to building these goals. We have to train ourselves to link particular context or environment to a particular habit. Like I established, fitness. You need to have a garage where it's strictly fitness there. You need to have a fitness center where you go to, strictly about working out. You need to have a place in your house, a study that you strictly do education stuff, strictly do, research, strictly reading a book, strictly education stuff in that particular environment. If it's, Netflix, if it's relaxation, a place you like to watch TV, that's more than likely your living room, right? Or a man cave or a woman cave. That's what you do in that environment. So you're not going to bring work in that environment. You're not going to bring a book in that environment because that's not what you're there to do. You're there to strictly relax, strictly to let loose, right? Just relax your mental. I do it often. That's why with me, I have a laptop I can bring home for work, but I try not to have to bring that home at all, because home is where I'm going to go and relax and unwind. I'm not bringing my laptop in that environment because then I'm not going to be able to relax and unwind. So I'm not bringing my work home. I refuse. It's something I'm very strict with. I'm not bringing my work home. That's I absolutely have to. And I only absolutely have to when it's like a storm or something to prevent having to use, leave time. But other than that, I'm very strict in not bringing work home. At home, I'm relaxing. I'm trying to relax. I'm trying to unwind. I don't even want to think about that. I use my brain enough at work. It's hard to establish a new habit in an environment where other cues already exist. A place where I unwind and watch TV, I'm not going to say, I'm going to that same location and read a book. That's more than likely that's not going to happen because I'm going to end up deviating. I'm not going to be able to focus. I'm going to end up eventually turning that TV on and going to whatever my favorite show is or whatever the case is, YouTube, whatever. Right? I can't, it's hard to do that unless you totally alter your space. I stopped letting my daughter sit on the couch and do her homework and read her book because I would notice she'd be way too relaxed for homework wise. So I started making her come to the kitchen table or at least go to her desk, because we have a desk in her room where she sits up to focus on her task at hand. Because sitting down on a comfortable space, sitting down on the couch, because that's the same place where she goes to relax and unwind. So I'm like, don't sit on that couch to do your homework and read your book. Come to this table, sit up, do your work, right? So that's a cue for her. Once I say that, she know I'm not playing, I'm serious, like, you need to get this work done. And it works. That little shift works because now she's doing her work. She's more focused, so she's not taking this long to get these things done because she know, all right, so this cue is this table. Homework, this table. It's about business. It's about getting this done, not sitting down, relaxing, or nothing like. It's not relaxed time. It's use my brain to get this thing done. So then I can go relax, right? It creates an order of business within the household after school for her. Just want to go deeper into building habits, things I'm learning as I'm reading Atomic Habits. It's a great book. I've had it, on my notes to go read and listen to. I just got the book, the hard copy, because I'm like, this is a great book. I need a hard copy so I can actually have it in my hand and take notes and whatever, highlight or whatever the case is. I like to highlight. So I'm listening to the audiobook and I just bought the hard book. And I treat books like this like a manual. So, in that sense, I read it, take notes, highlight, things like that, go back to it, reflect. I used to do that in school when I would sit in class, I would take notes, then I would go home and reflect on my notes and organize them to get a good grasp on them. And things like that. And that helped me, again, like a previous video I said, with presentations, where if I can understand this information, like if I can repeat it back, if I can grasp the understanding to speak about it myself, I'm grasping the concept. And so that's That's essentially my system with learning things. I just came back to that, but that's my system with learning things, right? When I learn something, digest it, take notes on it, make sure I can understand it, make sure I can speak it back out, just like my personal understanding. And that's my system in learning stuff. I love to learn, I love to research, but if I can't spit it back out like this, it's not sticking. And so, I need to write it down, right? I'm a physical, I have to write. I still come from that generation that had to write a lot of things, and that helps me grasp information. But that's my system. Like, other people may not need to do that, but that's my system. But yeah, just want to share the setting goals, building habits, and establish a system portion of the Atomic Habits.